Up with KREM begins now.
7:30 on your Thursday morning. We are starting off with 3 things that you need to know about the presidential election right now. And with the election still too close to call, we are also this morning connecting the dots on the Wisconsin recount.
And we're going to break down your most asked questions about the election, things like how votes are counted in other states. That's all coming up here in the Up with KREM Election Center.
We've been talking about a shift in the weather pattern all week. Clouds and warm temperatures this morning will be a thing of the past as we head into the weekend.
Thanks so much for watching Up with KREM. Our election team coverage continues now with developments on the presidential election this morning and answering your top questions you have about the counting process. All right, so let's get right to it. We have a lot to get to this morning. Let's start with the 3 things you need to know about the election. Number 1, Democrats continue to move towards extending control of the House for 2 more years, but this time with a smaller majority. They lost at least 6 incumbents, and so far, all Republican lawmakers are returning. An unexpected disappointment for the Democrats, hoping for a larger win. Number 2, as we wait to find out which candidate reaches 270, we now know the Biden campaign has broke a new record. Biden received more than 70 million votes and counting, making him the most voted for presidential candidate in history. President Obama held the previous record with just over 69 million votes back in 2008. Number 3, we are 6 states away from potentially knowing which candidate will reach the magic number of 270. The path to victory is in limbo as we await results in Alaska, Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Some election officials are saying we could have more results as early as today, while some states are reporting it could take up to 8 days. Joshua?
Yeah, Tim, we're going to take a look right now at what the map looks like this morning. This is the map that you can find on KREM.com right now. And I do want to point out, Tim did mention there are 6 states that are being watched right now. But I want to point out down here in Arizona, this map, according to the Associated Press, has already locked in Arizona for Joe Biden. Of course, that is something that is still being watched by all stations, all networks across the country. But with that total, Joe Biden sits at 264 electoral votes so far this morning. And essentially, all he would need is one of the remaining 4 continental states. Alaska has only 3 states this morning. It is currently going towards President Trump, who has 214 electoral votes this morning. Obviously, we're keeping our eyes on these developing situations with all of these states this morning. All battleground states on the East Coast, Nevada as well. So we'll be keeping our eyes as those updates filter into the newsroom this morning. We'll bring them right to you here on Up with KREM. We're also going to check in with our own Dana Marie McNichol this morning for some of those questions that you've asked us. Good morning, Dana Marie.
Good morning, Joshua. Thanks for that update. Yeah, we've seen a lot of questions trending online this morning regarding the election, of course. First, many of you are wondering why news outlets called Michigan for Biden. Now, confusion started because the Secretary of State's website still had Trump leading. So here's a look at the screenshot from Michigan's Secretary of State website at midnight this morning. It shows that Trump still was ahead by 3.5%. But here's why they called Biden. The Secretary of State's office isn't actually the most recent updated numbers. Michigan told news outlets to check county election sites for the most updated numbers because they only update when counties report complete counts. So this is why many are reporting that Biden is now the winner in Michigan. Well, when you're flipping through the news channels, some of you might be wondering why different stations have different election count numbers. Different stations have different methods of reporting those numbers. Here at KREM 2, we're getting results from the Associated Press and our network, CBS News. They get their numbers from state officials. And as always, you can get the latest results we are following in the KREM 2 app. Now, the map that Joshua just showed you is also on our KREM 2 website. You can interact with it. It's a really great tool to follow this morning. Now, another big question. What if a sitting president doesn't concede after losing an election? Now, according to USA Today, no law requires a president to concede. A concession speech is more of a tradition than an actual requirement. A president could contest an election into January, and that election would then be decided by courts or obscure parts of the law. Now, we did see this happen back in 2000 with Al Gore. All right, 7:34 now. I'll send it over to you, Joshua.
Yeah, Dana Marie, of course, we know that this situation was something we were preparing for. We knew there was that possibility that we were going to see an extended period of time before these votes were all counted. And so plenty of great resources we've got for you to check in on the latest here at KREM. All right, 7:35 this morning, President Trump has called for a recount in the state of Wisconsin. So what will that mean for the race going forward? Let's connect the dots.
In this contested presidential race, it's looking like a recount is going to happen. But how will it work and what is the potential outcome? Let's connect the dots. As the counting of ballots continues in several states, there is already talk of a recount in Wisconsin. President Trump's campaign announced it once won, but there are rules in place for who gets to put in the request. In Wisconsin, it must be the candidate who is behind, and they have to be within 1 percentage point of the leader. We have had a recount in Wisconsin recently. In 2016, Green Party candidate Jill Stein requested a recount. They later changed the rules to say only the candidate losing by 1% or less could make that request. In that case, President Trump had won the state by about 23,000 votes, so the recount didn't make much of a difference. Hillary Clinton had already conceded the race by the time it was happening, and in the end, only 131 votes were added to Trump's total. While election experts are expecting similar results this time around, the state's governor warned there is always a possibility of a major reporting error, telling both sides just wait for the results to be official.
Now, the president cannot formally request a recount yet because the results in Wisconsin haven't been certified. Election officials are expected to report their official results by November 17th. All right, let's check in with meteorologist Jeremy Legoo for our look outside this morning. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning, Joshua, and good morning, everybody watching from back at home. It is a mild start to the day, no doubt about it. Temperatures in the 50s and 60s. That's right, 60s, and we are in November. 60s in Moses Lake and Wenatchee, mid-50s from Spokane to Coeur d'Alene, and even if you head into North Idaho where you find a little bit of rain in Sandpoint. Wind stays strong, and that's what bumped our temperatures up or kept them mild overnight. That stays strong into the afternoon as rain picks up later on today. The wind dies down and shifts to a little more westerly as the rain starts. So rain starts later on today and continues into this evening. I'm thinking it tapers off overnight. Past midnight, so yeah, we can technically call it Friday morning, but it'll be before you head out the door early Friday. Hour by hour, breaking it down, temperatures go from the upper 50s into the mid 50s and down into the 40s later on tonight. Rain starts the middle part of the day and continues right on through. Quarter of an inch by the time it comes to an end, and that sets the stage for a big time cool down as we head into the weekend. Temps dropping and the chance of a couple flurries in the sky Sunday morning, Joshua.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. We'll see you back here in just a few minutes for your full forecast. And happening today, we could learn more about COVID-19 testing in schools. The Washington State Department of Health is expected to release a new modeling report this morning. That report looks at what the potential outcomes of COVID-19 testing at schools may have on different approaches to in-person learning. Also, this afternoon at 3 p.m., the Spokane Regional Health District will hold a special meeting where they will vote on whether to terminate their leading health expert, Dr. Bob Lutz. That meeting will be held virtually. Public comment submissions will be taken until 11 a.m. this morning. KREM 2 will hold special coverage of the meeting tonight at 4, 5, and 6. And tomorrow morning, join us right here on Up with KREM as we break down the latest information that you need to know. Still coming up this morning, poll workers play some of the most vital roles in our country right now. Coming up, we spoke to some workers about their experiences in the 2020 election. And the president has claimed that he was in the lead in many key states before they started to, quote, magically disappear and from dump ballots. Our Verify team concluded that claim was false. We'll explain why after the break.